afternoon, everyone, or good morning. Welcome to 5 Questions with your classical educator. Today, we have SRS art instructor for the lower school, Kassiani Newman, with us. She is currently teaching a workshop, and next year she also is going to be offering 2 courses with us, an art course for K to 2 and an art course for 3 to 5. Yes, 5th grade. And they're all going to be the basis or the precursor to our iconography courses, which have become very beloved, but only start in middle school. So this is something to kind of entice and help the lower school students get the skills needed in order to be able then to work their way up to iconography in middle school. So before we get started though, Kassiani, I would like to know, well, all of us would like to know a little more about yourself. So you can tell us where you're from, about your family, anything you would like to share about yourself.
I am born and raised in New Hampshire, Rollinsford, New Hampshire, near Dover on the seacoast.
Okay.
My family's been there forever. I went to public school, so classical education is not something I grew up with. We grew up in a small town, so I've been gardening since before I could walk. I had babysat kids on a homestead. That was my first introduction to animals. It just kind of small town people.
I love it. Small town. New to classical education, but not very new, because you all homeschool your own children, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about your kids and your homeschool.
Sure. We homeschool now in West Virginia. We've been here for a year. My husband has his PhD in classics. So classics is not something brand new. I have my minor in classics from the University of New Hampshire. But when you go to public school, public university, classical education is not even one of the philosophies that's taught. It wasn't discussed at all. But my husband worked hard to convince me as a constructivist to branch out into classical philosophy. So we do homeschool our kids. My oldest is in 3rd grade and he's just devouring books. Right now we're reading Tom Sawyer and Secret Garden. My little girl is loving the Secret Garden. They have a bramble down by our stream and they've created their own secret garden because we found some dead roses and daylilies down there.
Beautiful.
Overgrown. So we really try to incorporate sort of our small town homestead into our classical philosophy, just reading lots of good books. And
of course,
a little history nerd, just like his dad.
And of course, integrating orthodoxy at the core, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that's how I started Sparks for Orthodox Kids almost 10 years ago, just because we couldn't find coloring book pages for our then 2-year-old. And after a while of doing it at home, I realized, well, you know, a lot of moms can't just whip out an icon of St. Patrick for St. Patrick's Day. So I started uploading those for free, and that turned into a nice little hobby and Sunday school resource.
So for those that don't know what Sparks for Kids is, can you expound upon that?
I have been uploading drawings of saints
that you created.
That I made alongside the story of the saint's life or the feast. You can actually see some of them.
Love it. And
it's just a free resource.
Is it sparks4kids.com?
Yes.
Okay, so the actual Roman numeral, the digit, not Roman numeral, the digit. So sparks4kids.com. So, and actually, fun story. Of course, as principal of St. Raphael School, I'm always looking for the new pedagogy or new ways of doing things. And sure enough, I happened to see Kassiani's work and on social media, and I sent her a message, and because we wanted to build out our lower school pre-iconography art courses. And I sent her a message and I said, hey, you don't know me, but this is who I am. And would you be interested? And sure enough, as you know, the rest of the story has already unfolded. She said yes, but her work is so beautiful and so meticulous. So, you know, in your own right, Kassiani, you are a fabulous iconographer. So, you know, the students are really getting a wonderful precursor to our middle school and upper school courses in iconography through you and your understanding of pedagogy for lower school, because there is a difference, right, between how you teach art with a middle school and upper school student versus a lower school student.
Yeah, and the coordination, like some kids have a good eye, even as a 5-year-old, but then they get frustrated because their hand won't do what their brain is telling them to do. So you kind of have to really scaffold things.
Yes, yes. And have a lot of patience, right?
Yes,
Lots of
definitely.
patience and reinforcement, and good. Good. So as you can see, you know, Mrs. Newman is a phenomenal instructor, artist, iconographer in her own right, and she's going to be offering classes, and we do have classes available in K2, 3 to 5 in the lower school that focus on iconography skills that they can then take with them as they move and progress onto middle school and upper school.
And we'll learn those deeper meanings and those higher order, having a higher order understanding of icons and the colors and the process. But when it comes to the doing, we're going to keep the expectations age appropriate.
Correct. And that is really key. And as you know, as can be seen, that's why you are the perfect woman for the challenge. And I'm so excited. She currently is doing a workshop, and you know, it's phenomenal to see, you know, what the students are able to do and the colorings that they're doing, putting various colors together. So I'm excited for this upcoming year. Very excited. Now, I will say this in our interview. Mrs. Newman does homeschool all of her children. So if you want to get in one of her classes, make sure you register early, because we do have a limit on courses, as you all know, and 15 is the top limit, but really we want to stay in the 12 range. So if you really want to take this class, please register early, because you know Mrs. Newman's time is limited. So, all right, are we ready for the actual questions?
Sure.
All right, question number 1. 5 questions with your classical educator. Who is your favorite author, or one of your favorite authors, and why?
Well, we have kind of a lot that we do around here. So I read a lot of like do-it-yourself books. So favorite author. Mostly I'm reading with the kids these days. So we like Judy Blume.
Oh, yes.
My boys love Super Fudge, but
yes,
yeah, like
throwback to my childhood.
We read everything from Laura Ingalls to Melinda Johnson. Like,
yes,
got a good spectrum going, but Judy Blume is a fun go-to.
Gosh, I haven't read that book in years. Like, yeah, it has to be when I was in 6th grade. I might have to pick it up again.
They're fun. They're the perfect age for my boys too, because I've got 2 older, I'm 3rd grader and a first grade. So if they could read it on their own, but I like to read it to them because I haven't read them since I was a kid either.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Great. Yeah, Judy Blume is one of my favorites as well. All right, what is your favorite quote having to do with education?
Plato the direction that education starts a man off will determine his life in the future.
Uh-huh.
As a teacher of little kids and a mother of little boys, I really see that. I taught pre-K at a classical school 1 year, and I had twins who had figured out the system before in peaceful non-compliance. So I learned how the way we set up our classroom really programs them for how they're going to participate. So I had to unteach them the peaceful non-compliance and get them engaged.
I love that. Or like Tom Sawyer said, unschooling, right? The unschooling of education.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. What hobbies do you enjoy? Name and explain.
Okay. So I kind of just like to do things with my hands.
Yes.
I've been gardening forever. So we grow food all summer.
Nice.
Starting an herb garden here on the new property. We're kind of just getting a fresh start. So gardening is a huge one. I've been refinishing furniture since after our move.
Ooh.
So the desk this is sitting on is like a nice bright yellow after a switch up from its 60s dingy finish.
Nice.
I draw. I teach Sunday school. We've got a few animals, so we
Wow.
got that going on. Let's see, I knit. My granny taught me how to knit, so I do that a little bit. I haven't sewn in a few years. Mostly I like to bake. We make all of our own breads and muffins, all that kind of thing. It's great for fractions.
Oh, yes.
Fractions. Let's see. I guess that's it. Mostly I just clean.
Well, it's a lot of hobbies and
I end the day doing the iconography.
Yes.
So that's a nice peaceful way for me to end my days because they're raucous sometimes.
Do you have one that we can see that you're working on or finish? How about that for impromptu?
My mess is sitting beside me. This is Patrick, and he is almost.
Hi. And this is what classical education is all about. These little ones.
Hey. What did you want? Yeah, go ahead.
I love it.
Homeschooling.
That's right, homeschooling. But that icon of St. Patrick is amazing. It looks like it just needs a finish on it.
He's almost done. I did his hand last night, and then I need to finish the gospel book highlights and jewels, and then go back and just kind of give it one more, like kind of let it set for a minute, and then I go back. He's got a partner that's not quite as far along. The family was chrismated. Their original wedding was on St. Patrick's Day, and then they renewed their wedding with an Orthodox ceremony in August on St. Moses the Black's.
Oh, how beautiful.
So they wanted icons for their wedding anniversaries.
How wonderful is that? Oh, that's very special.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And next question. I'll be interested into hearing your answer for this one. What's one food or beverage you really enjoy and why?
Okay, so I'm not a huge health nut. I would say lasagna.
Ooh, I haven't had lasagna in a long time.
Cheesy lasagna with a glass of wine and a big salad and garlic bread.
I'm hungry.
This makes me think of like family meals back when I was little too.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. And when and how did you decide to become an educator? I think that's instantaneously when you become a mom, but
Yeah, I went to school to be a teacher before, so the homeschooling was not my plan
yeah.
originally back when I was young and not optimistic, but idealistic. I decided to become a teacher on a short-term mission in Guatemala.
Wow.
So I had already decided to go to school, but I was kind of like, I wasn't sure what I was going to go to school for. My art teacher, who was like my mentor in high school, told me I would never make money as an artist. I
Oh,
worked slowly. And so I was trying to figure out like, what else do I like to do? What other classes am I good at? So Spanish was a class that I was good at. So I went on a short-term mission and I did puppet shows in the mountains of Guatemala for a summer.
oh,
Back when I was Protestant.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was lots of fun. We made the puppets and we left two puppets in every village. So we were kind of like a traveling show.
Ah,
And then we had a week of language school. And that was where I was like, wow, my experience of Spanish class was not like this. This is so much better. Like I can learn this way. I could memorize verb formulas. Like I have
yes.
like logic side of my brain, but I couldn't talk to anybody. So having an intense one-on-one week of Spanish school and then going back and having the AP program with a college professor
Mhm.
who was my soccer coach, was like, this is so different than the last four Spanish classes. This is so crazy. I wanted to make sure I gave kids an opportunity to have that new experience instead of the sit and memorize verb formulas experience.
Beautiful. So the learn by doing. I
Yes,
love it.
yes. Professor Lee at UNH, she just won an award. I looked her up before.
Shout out.
Shout out, definitely. I think she's retired, but she just won some sort of award. It was on the UNH's website. She was very big on puzzles, learning through puzzles.
Oh, interesting.
That way you're engaging kids in a different hands-on, but still thinking. So that really spoke to me as a person who likes to do things with their hands.
You
And,
just
and it's visual, so my like creative artsy brain went
Yeah.
filled that way. So yeah, I would.
So what about this, Kassiani? You begin a series of iconography puzzles, and on each piece on the back would have a fact about the saint.
Ooh.
Copyrighted here for Kassiani Newman.
When I was looking for resources for the workshop and for this class for next year, I looked for like little print cards as just like a matching set, and I had trouble even finding something like that.
So what I'm thinking, and this is the first time we've talked about this. What I'm thinking would be really cool was take your iconography that you've already created, right? And the pictures for Sparks for Kids, take that, color it in electronically. I'm not sure how artists do it, but and then cut those into puzzles, right?
Yeah.
Based on age and on, you might not have enough information for every piece to have a fact about the saint, but at least the majority of those pieces on the back would have a fact about the saint. And as they're putting together, and at the end, they get the puzzle. Whoa, I would buy one, two, okay, one of each one you make for a collection. See what happens when, we kind of collaborate and we discuss and we talk. It's a beautiful thing. But what a beautiful gift that you give to children, in that you share this love through doing, rather than, okay, here's a text, memorize this or do that, but rather it's interactive, like classical education.
Yeah, it works well with classical education because a lot of class time is just spent in conversation.
Right,
So the
right,
the kids are doing by talking. and
right.
thinking things through, feeding off of each other's ideas, just like when you sit and do a puzzle together in a class.
Yes, I love that. I love it. Anything else you want to share with us?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for 5 questions with your classical educator. Once again, this is Mrs. Kassiani Newman. She is going to be teaching 2 lower school courses. Please register early because those are the only 2 sections she's going to be teaching for K2 and 3-5. And it focuses on general artistic components, but also a precursor to iconography foundations for students to build their skills prior to taking iconography in middle school and high school. Now, it's not necessarily that's the only thing it does. Actually, again, it's a general art course as well that builds skills, but iconography is part of it. And as Mrs. Newman mentioned, the expectations are the right size for the students that will be taking the course. So thank you so much, Mrs. Newman, for joining us. I look forward to a wonderful academic 23-24 year. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you want to reach out, you can reach out regarding the art classes directly to Mrs. Newman, which you'll find her information online. And also you can reach out to me, Presidenta Maria Cuyanos. I'm the principal of SRS. And you can always reach out to me as well online or give me a call. So Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and to those in the tombs, bestowing life. Thanks for joining us.